Alrighty everyone, I'll be sending you guys all the way up to the top of the hill here. Do not stop halfway, that is a completely different tour. At the top, the path veers left. Just stop once it stops going straight, because you don't know the way and I do. So just wait for me up there and we'll be good to go.
You got this. You poor lantern people. Hello, lovely. Good luck.
Wow.
Okay.
We made it up the worst part. Congratulations.
That was easy.
Well, some people really do think it is, so it is what it is.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly. Alrighty. So about 500 million years ago, Colorado, geologically speaking, as you see it today, did not exist. In fact, we didn't even have any mountains. We were covered by a warm and shallow ocean, which had lots of plants and small animals. As these things would die, they would sink to the bottom, be covered up with sediment, and after lots of time with pressure, eventually condense down into limestone, which is what our caves are made out of. Then, about 70 million years or so, the plate tectonics collided to create the Rocky Mountains that we know and love today. As they did this, they create cracks in our limestone, also known as lifelines. Without them, our caves would not exist. Now I will pause the story here so I can actually show you guys a lifeline inside and finish the stories up there. Right up here is the last trash can before the entrance of our cave. So if you have anything you need to throw away, namely chewing gum, please go ahead and toss it there. As we enter our cave today, I'll be taking your guys' group pictures pretty immediately. So stay in the groups you'd like your pictures to be in. Do not be split up. It makes it difficult for everyone involved. We'll be following this group in, but watch your footing and your heads and you guys can follow me. Are you excited? Yeah. Just watch your footing and your heads and you guys can follow me. Wait, you're at this myself first. There we go. My first group, you guys stand by that caution center right there, and then turn around and face me.
Is this the original entrance to the cave?
It is. I will show you guys. You guys can come all the way from the first step. I don't know what was that. 3, 2, 1. You guys are all good to head down those stairs behind you there. Just stay in this large room. Don't go down any hallways or opening stairs. 2 of you can go stand where you're standing. 3, 2, 1. You guys are all good to head down those stairs right there.
By myself, so.
That's fine. I'll just be a quick picture, I promise. Three, two, one. You're good to head down those stairs.
Yes.
Yes, you are good. My next group goes stand where they were standing. Alrighty everyone, I'd like to welcome you to this first room of our cave here. Now first and foremost, if for any reason at any time, and I do mean any reason at any time, either you or your little one decide they need out of the cave as quick as possible, don't go off on your own, okay? You're not going to make it. I'm just kidding. But let me know and I'll be able to call an escort to get you guys out of the cave as quickly and as safely as possible. Now today in our tour, we'll be kind of going back in time through our history here, starting in the room that we found most recently and ending in the room that we found first. This room here is called our Adventure Room. It was found in 1987, was fully excavated, and then opened to the public on Mother's Day of 1988. Now, if we were to actually head up these stairs, to the right of a few more stairs where that other group was, that is the entrance to our sister caving system, the Manitou Grand Caverns, in which is where our Haunted Lantern Tour goes. Now, that is a completely different experience than what we will be having today. In there, they have absolutely no electricity. The only light source they have is a little bucket lantern with an open flame. Does not give off that much light. I will be able to show you just as much here in a little bit. Now, on this tour, they are trying to scare you by telling you spooky, scary ghost stories. So for that reason, you have to be at least 8 years old to go on it. But it is a really fun experience nonetheless, and I do highly recommend it. Today, we will be continuing on through this passageway over here. I have a few safety things to point out, so just pay attention. At the beginning, there are two rocks come together, making it kind of narrow, so just watch out for a couple of steps through there. As we make that first turn through the hallway, I want you guys, especially those taller than myself, to watch out for your heads. I'm not going to hit my head, but you might, so just watch out. As we make that final turn into this next room here, I ask you guys to watch out for your footing. We transition from dirt to concrete, and it is a slight ramp down with a few slight steps. Can be a little slick with all the loose rocks around, so just watch out there. If you guys need to use the flashlight through here, please go ahead and do so. You guys can follow me. Watch your footing through here. Watch your head. These are just all dead ends. And watch it. Squeeze up just a little bit more so you in the back and I'm pointing out. Come over here. All the way up here. This whole area can be filled in. Fill it in, please. Thank you. Alrighty. Now this room here is called our Oriental Gardens. It's because if you were to look through here, you'd see a lovely little temple, and this temple is surrounded by a lovely little village. Of course, what is a village without its protector? So up top, we have a little gargoyle. You can see its head, its puffed out chest, its hands, and its feet. I personally think it kind of looks like Bowser from Mario. Right here we have the longest stalactite in the cave. Any guesses as to what we like to call it? We like to call it the longest stalactite in the cave. It's about 8.5 feet long and took around 102,000 years to form. Remember those lifelines that I was mentioning earlier? You can actually see one of them very clearly here on the ceiling. What ended up happening is that water would seep through these lifelines, picking up the carbon dioxide from the decaying matter within the limestone, creating carbonic acid. And as scary as that sounds, I promise it is no more harmful than a normally concentrated version of the carbonation within your sodas. This carbonic acid would eat away at all of the limestone in here, leaving us with these large large rooms were able to go through. Eventually, the level of that water would drop, all of the water would leave, and we would be left with a whole bunch of open air and space for our formations to occur. I'll point out the three main formations we'll be seeing here today. Up top, we have our stalactites. An easy way to remember them is that they hang on tight to the ceiling. We then have stalagmites here, just one lonely one here, but as these grow from the bottom up, an easy way to remember them is that if you're not careful, you just might trip over one. And last but not least, actually this whole area over here is a formation into itself. This is called flowstone, and this is created when this mineral-rich water is consistently flowing over a wall or a rock, depositing the minerals as it goes. Kind of makes it look like it's a frozen waterfall, but I assure you it is all just rock. As we go on into this next room here, there is sort of a stalagmite in the path, so just watch out for your footing. You guys can follow me.
Wait, there's what now?
It's a stalagmite. All the way up here for me. I'll tell you what it says in here in a little bit. You just stop right there. As we're coming into this room, stick to that left-hand side close to those handrails for me. Thank you. Alrighty, now this room here is called our Valley of Dreams. When Cave of the Winds first opened, the only way to experience it were through crawling tours. These tours would take approximately 6 to 8 hours long, and this was that original halfway point. People would get here, stop and take a rest, and then turn around and go back the exact way they came in a similar manner to where we will be going today. Where we just came through actually did not exist to us until after 1935. It was covered up by large boulders and seemed pretty solid, so we thought the tours and the caves would end here. However, in 1935, a man by the name George Jeffries came through on one of those original crawling tours. As he was resting there, he felt this large gust of wind on his back. Now, understanding that gusts of wind don't come from solid rock, he thought correctly that there had to have been more cave system behind him. He went to the Cave of the Winds management and said, "Hey, I've got the money and the resources. I would love to excavate more cave for you guys for free. Just under 2 conditions. One condition is that we tour guides have to say his name on every tour for the rest of time. But then also, he wanted a line from his favorite poem to be placed upon the wall. Now this reads, 'Dreams of mountains, as in their sleep, they brood on things eternal.' Now a fun fact about this line is that it comes from a poem that has nothing to do with Cave of the Winds, nor caves, not even Colorado in general. It comes from a poem that was written about the Grand Canyon, so that's fun. Let me shine my flashlight at the bottom of the room here as we turn around so I don't blind you. This right here is a formation called a column. This is when a stalactite and a stalagmite meet together in the middle and start growing together. As you guys can see, this is quite a shiny formation here. Any guesses as to why that is?
People hang on to it.
People were touching it. When this was that original halfway point, people used to touch this column for good luck on their 3 to 4 hour journey back to the surface. However, after about 50 years or so of people doing this, we realized that probably wasn't the best idea. Pretty much where all of our minerals are able to stick in for these formations to continue growing, all of our human oils got stuck in there instead, making it impossible for these formations to grow. As a result, this formation is currently dormant, is not growing any further, and if it does, it can take hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of years to start growing again. Now it just serves as a reminder as to why we don't want you guys touching or leaning on any of our cave surfaces today, as pretty much everything shiny you see is a direct result of people touching it too much, and those parts can no longer grow. As we enter on into this next room here, I'll be pointing out a formation in the ceiling, so just keep an eye and an ear out for that. You guys can follow me. Stop in the hole. And you guys can continue through, just don't go down those stairs. Jody, turn around and look up. Look up through the hole in the ceiling. You missed it, sir. Continue on through, just do not go down the stairs for me. Alrighty. Now even though that last room was that original halfway point, people used to stop in this room as well, as this was one of the first places people could sit up for the first time, instead of being face down in a whole bunch of mud. We can see that original floor level was just about here. The ceiling has stayed the same, so honestly not much room, but just enough to sit up. As a result, people started calling this room Guide's Rest. Then, after some cave pushing and further excavations, we found a lovely little seat and a side table, further emphasizing that name, Guide's Rest. Now you guys might be wondering why we're able to actually walk through our caves today instead of crawling. And this is all due to cave pushing. Cave pushing is where we take all the loose dirt, rocks, sediment, and other material, and we simply push it off to the side so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Much like how my brother cleans his room. A really great example is this whole back wall over here, with these rocks seemingly precariously stacked on top of each other, but I promise you it is safe. Formation I pointed out to you guys in the ceiling there was a really neat flowstone formation. Now it has many different shades of reds and oranges throughout, and this is due to the iron oxide, also known as rust, that is present. If you were to look up at it long enough, and maybe with just a bit of an imagination, one could assume that you're looking at the inside of a heart. So we named it the Giant's Bleeding Heart. Now today on our tours, you might be feeling this lovely air movement coming through, and contrary to popular belief, this is not air conditioning, fans, nor wind from the outside. This is actually all completely natural to the caves. We have the entrance that we came through and the exit that we will be going through. These doors are pretty much open all day, every day. As a result, when you feel, or when the air pressure on the outside changes, the air pressure on the inside immediately recognizes that and wants to match it. As a result, the cave will do all the work itself, pushing or pulling the air in or out as necessary to create that equilibrium. That is the airflow that you are feeling today. It will come from one direction and then potentially from the exact opposite direction here in a little bit. This is not unique to Cave of the Winds, however. It's not the reasoning for our namesake, as most, if not all, caves have this. So imagine if all caves were named Cave of the Winds. Now today we'll be continuing on through here. I'll ask for you guys to watch your heads and use those handrails as we go down some stairs. We will then be going up some pretty steep and shallow stairs, so definitely use those handrails. And I'll meet you guys here in the next room. You guys can follow me.
I got a question.
Yes.
So, have you ever, as a tour, felt like cold wind coming through and never thought it was spirits?
Well, we do have our haunted lantern tour, and there are spirits in that one, but in this one, typically not.
I was just wondering if it ever actually
Yeah,
happened.
that's a good question. Typically not, though. Watch your head through here.
Just weird.
Watch your head through here as well. Over here. Over here.
What is that right there? What is that?
Right here. Don't touch the wall. Right here.
Yeah.
And it's just rocks. Hello.
Rocks fall when thunder moves the rocks, or
Typically not. Typically not. The cave is pretty structurally sound. And so most of the time the rocks don't fall down.
Like with some first movements, you would think that there would be some debris showing there.
Yes, but we have cave push and excavated this entire area, so we don't ever see it. Our tectonic activities actually doesn't really happen that much anymore. Even though the Rockies are consistently still growing, it doesn't actually move that much. where we can feel it though. Are you guys left one?
Yes.
Perfect. Alrighty, for my group here, we will be going up these stairs right here. Now they are pretty steep and shallow, so use these handrails and I'll meet you guys up to the next room.
Vale. Mira lo que la está deteniendo. Pásale más rápido.
All the walls that look like concrete are concrete. You guys can lean on that if you'd like.
Pasa, María.
Do not stop right in front of the stairs for me. Keep on going on through. Alrighty. Now this room here is called our Temple of Silence. Now, it's called the Temple of Silence because no one really wants to talk when they come up from those stairs. We're also currently about 7,000 feet in elevation right now, which makes this the second highest show cave in the United States, the highest one being in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Now if we were to actually continue back through, it kind of looks like the jaws of a shark over here, we would actually start seeing some tree roots. Now this indicates that we are currently only about 20 to 30 feet below the surface, which gives this room a distinctly different smell, as well as just a little bit more humidity. Now I'll point out some different formations to you guys today. Up top over here, this is our ribbon stalactite. Now due to its coloring with iron oxide and calcite within it, if you were to shine your flashlight up right against it, it actually kind of looked like bacon. So we named it cave bacon. This is the largest piece that we have here today. It's about 4 feet long and 1 to 1.5 feet wide. Next up is this formation over here. As you guys can see, this grew in at least one or more different directions, kind of resembling a 7. So we call this our guide's lucky number 7. Since it grew in those more than one different directions, it is actually not a stalactite, but a halactite. Now we're not too entirely sure why it decided to form this way. Our best guess though could be that as it was still forming, wind could be pushing that mineral water to the side to have it form in this different way. Last but not least is this formation over here. Now this used to be a column. However, when we discovered this room in 1929, this column had already been broken. By what? We're not too entirely sure. Our best guess though could be that it could have been a mudslide or other tectonic activity, although we are not positive. The only thing we are sure about, however, is that the way it broke, it will never be able to grow together again. So we named it Romeo and Juliet. Now unfortunately what goes up must go back down, so we do have to go back down those stairs. At the bottom, we will be taking a left, going down a few more stairs, and then a left at that junction, but I will be pausing to make sure that no one gets left behind. You guys can follow me.
Está bonito esto.
Aquí el día ya está bonito, hija. Marica, qué bien.
Alrighty, where I'm currently standing is kind of narrow, so just watch out for your shoulders. Then as we continue on through, it gets very narrow, so just watch out for your footing. You guys can follow me.
Why? Looks like a slide to me.
I would say about 30 more minutes. Alrighty, everyone. Now, as much as I would love to be able to point out every formation you guys individually along this next hallway, there is one of me and many of you. So I'll be asking for you guys to pass back the information to the person behind you so we all know what we're looking at. That'll give a little overview as to what to expect, so if it doesn't get back to you, you will not be completely lost. On your right, directly in front of this staircase here, is our cut and polished flowstone. Now this is technically a man-made formation as we did use machinery to do this. It goes by a couple different names such as cave onyx or banded travertine, and it was made so you guys can see all the different layers of minerals throughout the flowstone. Then on your left, directly across from the staircase, is a pretty big stalactite by the name Old Bruiser. Old Bruiser is currently knockout champion, so if you try to test him, you're gonna lose. I ask for no injuries along my tour today, so just watch out for your head as you pass it. Then directly after that, if you're to look up through the metal grate on the ceiling, you would see our baby stalactite nursery. Now these are called soda straws, and I will explain that more in the next room. Last but not least, the last formation I'll be pointing out at the very end of the hallway will be our cave coral, also known as white beaded andesite, which will be on the ceiling through a metal gate as well. You guys can follow me. Just remember to pass the information back to the person behind you. You guys can follow me. Glowstone.
Mira cómo está piedra, mi amor.
Eso es para el otro que te dije.
On the ceiling is that cave coral.
Wait, I mean, you gotta wait your turn.
Now it's cave coral.
Watch your head.
That's information missing. Never.
¿Qué ya tiene favorito?
Cave coral.
Right up there, the old maid's kitchen. While we're waiting, does anybody have any questions for me? Comments? Alrighty. Now a little bit about those formations that we just saw. For those baby stalactites in our baby stalactite nursery, also called soda straws, the reasoning for their nickname is because that's just about the stage of growth that these are currently in. Now they are only about 1,000 to 3,000 years old, so just tiny little babies to us. The way that this forms with this mineral-rich water, typically consisting of calcite, those baby stalactites, the way that this forms with this mineral-rich water, typically consisting of just a whole bunch of different minerals, it forms droplets on the ceiling. Eventually, Eventually, those minerals will deposit around it like in a ring. Ooh, fire! Now, regardless, those minerals would start building on top of each other, leaving a hollow inside, thus the name soda straws. Eventually, those minerals will plug up on the inside, depositing there, and it'll start forming that icicle shape that we are familiar with today. Now, this next part of our tour is completely optional, so if you're a little afraid of the dark, I would not recommend going in. We will be experiencing some cave darkness in here. Now, as you guys can see, there is no electricity because this has a tree behind me here. So I ask for you guys to turn off anything or turn on anything that makes light, namely flashlights. Once inside, however, I will be asking for you guys to turn off anything that makes light. This includes but is not limited to flashlights, phones, cameras, watch faces, light up shoes, but I think we're good today. This is just so that we can experience some cave darkness together. And while I hate singling people out, the dark does not mind. So if you don't want to be embarrassed, as we will all know it's you, go ahead and turn off those lights. You guys can follow me on in, turning on any flashlights you might have here as well.
Watch your head through here.
Mira, hija. Wow, ¿qué hiciste, Scott?
We'll be stopping just right here today. If you guys can make 2 lines, one along either wall. 2 lines through here for me. Thank you. Alrighty. Now, you guys can go ahead and turn the...
I thought it was some kind of ingestation.
I started like, she's bullshit.
That's good, Lord.
I know.
Yeah, I think
That's scary.
It was scary. I mean, it wasn't, but it was complete darkness.
I was scared if a dinosaur is gonna eat us.
Was there water flowing through these?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like rivers and so on?
There's only one place.
I can fit there.
No, you're not going back there.
Yeah, I am. I'm going in there.
All of these naughty kids stay there.
Oh. Better not be naughty, kids.
Okay, I'm not going in there.
No.
I can do it in the bathroom.
Pretty cool experience, huh? It's honestly my favorite part of the entire tour. Alrighty. As we continue on through here, I'll be asking for you guys to watch your heads as we go on through. We will then be going up some more stairs. I promise they're not nearly as bad as those other ones, so you don't have to worry. At the top of this stairs, the room is kind of small, but just stick towards those walls so everyone has an equal opportunity of seeing the main attraction in here. You guys can follow me on through.
Outlet.
I was going upstairs.
That's square then.
Ow!
See if you can turn off the flashlight. See right there.
No,
Lizzie,
no.
Preston.
Yeah, the chick's coming.
Can I see that?
But I think we can find a way, it's not This is where Batman lives.
I'm Batman. Eddie Michelle.
I'm Batman. I was
Forgot the quality. Forgot the Batman uses
Now, is this currently wet? Since it is a little bit dark.
No, typically not. It kind of honestly looks like it's been touched a lot. Regardless, it's probably not wet at all. If anything, the humidity helps it grow more, but no active water typically seeps through. We going up these stairs, make sure to use those handrails, and I'll see you guys up at the top.
I found it. Too bad. They saw the
Squeeze together just a little more. Alrighty. Now this room here is called our old maid's kitchen. Now the term old maid in the early 1900s referred to a woman who was so old she was never going to find a suitable match of a husband ever again. How old do you think they had to be?
99.
99. Any other guesses?
Well,
30.
considering back in the days, probably 40.
18 years old.
Oh my god.
18 years old. You think that you were so old and that you were so undesirable you were never going to find a husband. Seems a little harsh, personally. Now in 1910, two old maids came through on one of those original crawling tours, and as they got here, they were pretty disappointed. There's not that many cool formations to look at in here, so they asked their tour guide if they could leave 2 silver hairpins on the wall, so then other groups would have something nice and pretty to look at. Their tour guide said yes for some reason. They left their hairpins on the wall and called it a day. They came back just about a year later, but this time they were happily married with wealthy, healthy, and young husbands. They attributed all of that good luck to putting their hairpins on the wall, and thus the tradition began. It was said that if you were to toss something on the wall, namely a coin or a hairpin, and it stuck a landing, then you would have a year of good luck and a possible marriage on the way. However, if you threw something on the wall and it fell off, or knocked something else off, then you would have a year of bad luck and a possible divorce. Yikes. We added the metal netting up here to try to keep everything on the wall, but then in the early 2000s, we added the plexiglass divider to try to stop people from adding anything else on. And this was mainly because the metal netting had actually started ripping apart from the wall due to the weight of everything, cracking the limestone in the process. Now we didn't want to risk ruining the wall any further or losing everything that had built up, so instead we transferred all of that magical tradition power to the brown bin you see here at the center of the room. Toss something in there, namely a coin, and you get that year of good luck and a possible marriage on the way. On a slightly more serious note though, all money that is donated here is given to local charities in Manitou Springs at the end of each year. If you put a hairpin in there, no clue where it goes, so good luck to the hairpin.
It's like some people were put coins on it.
I can't stop it all, but we try our best. Now, we will be continuing back down these stairs here, I know, but we call them the Hallelujah stairs because they are the last stairs of the tour. At the bottom, we will be taking a left U-turn down a ramp. Now, it is kind of steep, so I ask for you guys to use those handrails and just watch your footing as you go on down. I'll meet you guys here in the next room. You guys can follow me.
I'll be back. I can't see what's in there.
Look up. Look up. Alrighty. Now I do have some good news and I have some bad news. Which one do you guys want to hear first? Bad news is the tour's almost over. No! The good news is though, and at least in my opinion, I am saving the best room for last. Now this room here is called Zephyr's Dome. We can imagine that this hallway was once a river of carbonic acid that was coming and eating its way through. As we would find that path of least resistance, we found that in this case it was up instead of to the side or down like we've seen in other rooms. As for all the cutouts on the ceiling there, we're not too sure how they happened. Our best guess though could be that as that carbonic acid was rising, so was the pressure, and it could have started creating whirlpools or something similar to create those cutouts on the ceiling. My personal favorite formation through here is the lovely thumbs up rock right here.
Whoa.
Now today we will be continuing on to this passageway behind me. This was added in 1960 to create a better path for our tours. However, limestone is pretty weak and brittle, and so we were worried about using any explosives as we did not want to risk the structural integrity of the cave. So instead, we actually hand drilled this, and you guys can still see those drill marks on the walls today. Now, even though it was man-made, it is not man-sized. So I ask for you guys to watch your heads as you go on through. It gets a little bit lower, especially at the end. Even I have to duck my head just a little bit. In this next room, it looks really cool from the bottom, but I'll try to meet you guys up at the top, but we might have to pause at the bottom. You guys can just follow me and just watch your heads as you go.
Cosas como así. No, pero no es eso.
We have a mighty, lovely Colorado right over here. Pretty simple things. We also have this lovely little column right over here. Now this tiny little column is actually called Atlas's column. When we were first excavating this room, we thought, once we found that formation, we thought that that little column held up the entire ceiling of the entire cave system, or at least in this room. That way, we called it Atlas's column. However, once we finally understanding just a little bit more about how caves work, we realized that wasn't the case, and that it could hold itself up pretty decently. So even though it is now, we now know that it's not holding up the entire ceiling, we do know that we still call it Atlas's column. Last but not least is this lovely formation over here. Kind of looks like the boogeyman. A whole bunch of flowstone. Got its two eyes and its mouth right over there. Alrighty. Now we will be headed up this ramp right here. I ask for you guys to stick to that right hand side, just in case if any emergencies were to happen, they could get through easily on the left hand side. You guys can follow me on up. Do not throw anything in there. I tell that to everyone.
Now on your watch.
Alrighty. So even though this is the last room that we are seeing here today, this was the first room that we found. In 1882, brothers by the name John and George Pickett were in the area on a church hiking trip when they heard a mysterious howling noise coming from the area. Being curious 10-year-olds they wanted to go figure out the source of that sound. They would then find two large sinkholes I can show you today. However, that noise had stopped. We now know it was the wind blowing over the sinkholes, similar to if you were to blow over the top of a bottle. Similar mechanics, just a lot louder and silkier. However, the wind had stopped and so had the noise, and the boys left absolutely clueless. They continued on trying to search for that sound, and they found a cave entrance. Armed with a lantern similar to the one I had earlier, they decided to light it and go inside. They got only about 30 to 40 feet in, however, so the wind came back, rolling out the lantern, leaving them in near total darkness that they experienced earlier. Now, absolutely terrified, they ran all the way down Granite Springs, telling anyone who would listen that they found haunted caves. And no one believed them, except for this man by the name of George Schneider. He was a master stone carver as well as a journalist, so if anything, he was interested in some cool rocks to good story. He had come out here by himself, excavated for about 2 days before popping up somewhere in this room. George named this room Canopy Hall, as all of these outlets reminded him of Canopy seating when doing an opera house back east. Cave of the Winds would open to those original crawling tours on February 15, 1881, to those starting in this Neither, as you're looking at them or simply exiting the cave, I will be passing back those pictures to you. If you would like that physical picture to be $15, if you'd like the digital version that is emailed to you, which includes 30 or so professional pictures of the cave, even in places you did not see today, that'd be $15 as well. If you would like the combination of both of them, it would be $20. If you have more than one physical picture printed out, each of those would be $5 additional dollars. Before we leave here today, does anybody have any last minute cave-related questions that I might be able to answer for you?
Yeah, what's those 3 cool?
Right there, that's just a dead end. It doesn't go much further. Right over there, we have a time capsule that was put in on May 1981. It'll be opened in 2081. Right over there is also a little school group area where we take school groups that come through and we teach them about the rock cycle and show them how bicarbonic acid heats for limestone. Right over there is that original entrance to those cave crawling tours. It's also the entrance to our expedition tour, which is a 2 to 3 hour crawling experience through Undell Bell Forest Park Cave. Alrighty, now looking into the water is coming from, we pump it in by ourselves. It's not natural. The reasoning for this is because the natural humidity of the cave had actually decreased after opening our tours not long ago. So actually, we brought this back into the cave to have that natural humidity.
So when was your dad over there? Did you stop and come back?
It really does not go down much further. You can see it right there. That's the end of it.
That's it.
Alrighty, now where that camera is set up with the very nice background and lighting, unfortunately that area is copyright, so we have no pictures there, so you guys can follow me on through. Watch your head, your red ball.
Oh, wow, I mean, it could be.
Oh no, she's there.
Let them know that you are on a discovery tour and that your tour guide's name was Julia, and your feedback is helpful feedback, so we know what you liked, what you didn't, things I can improve on. My supervisors do look at this and let them know what you liked or what you didn't. Now, if you guys fell in love with my amazing personal photography skills here today, you guys can go ahead and take those pictures to any register in the gift shop, and they'd be more than willing to help. If not, don't worry, it's not my real job anyway.